Hey, thank you for joining us to 616 Comic Reviews. This is Aaron here. We're looking at Marvel Legacy Tales of Suspense featuring Hawkeye and Winter Soldier. It's part of the Red Ledger miniseries. This is number 2 of 5. So obviously number 101. See you soon. Welcome back to 616 Comic Reviews. This is Aaron here. We're looking at Marvel Legacy Tales of Suspense featuring Hawkeye and Winter Soldier. It's part of the Red Ledger miniseries, number 2 of 5, also known as issue number 101. So, the writer is Matthew Rosenberg. The artist is Travel Foreman. The color artist is Rochelle Rosenberg. And the cover artist is Andrea Sorrento. Honestly, I have to say, Andrea, this one was a miss. I don't really like this style of cover. It reminds me of some of the old covers that came from Hawkeye series and came from Black Widow series. And honestly, I don't know what you call this particular style, but I never really cared much for it. I don't really like the cover. Cover wouldn't make me buy it. Go in. It's got that really good credit panel in there. I really like that panel a lot. Starts off right where it left off. So, but this time the explosion is happening and they're jumping out of the window like usual, just in time to not get blown to pieces. The coolest thing about this particular comic, this version of it, is last time all the thoughts were through Hawkeye's, point of view, Hawkeye's head. This time all the thought bubbles are pretty much through Winter Soldier's, and I gotta be honest, I love it a lot more. The art in these panels is really, really good in this particular pages. I gotta say, I do got some complaints about some of the colors that are being used here. Like, they were real effective in the last one. It kind of set a certain appeal to it. They do overdo it a little bit in this particular comic in number 2. It's a little overdone. Also, they tend to make Hawkeye look a lot younger. He looks childish sometimes. He also has he's not as detailed as Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier looks more manly, looks stronger, looks tougher, where they make Hawkeye kind of look just like a child almost. I don't know what else to say about the art, because that is kind of prevails through this whole comic, but the dialogue is on point. I mean, I like the little playback in playback in between. Clint Barton, Hawkeye's kind of more lighthearted in the comic. He's kind of the funny jokester type, whereas Winter Soldier, of course, is very serious, very straightforward, straight to the task. A soldier. So I do kind of like the way they play, and this page they kind of build up. Talk a little bit about why Winter Soldier's so grumpy, and it's kind of a little moment for them to kind of connect, even though they don't particularly like each other very much. So, anyways, then they get back and get back to New York, because they had to take a break in between the explosion in New York. So they took a break to have a character building moment. Now they're back in New York. And they come across an old agent, a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, who's also a superhero, was known as Skids from the New Mutants, and she's got they're trying to get information out of her, and they don't know, or she doesn't really want to tell them, but kind of gives them a little bit of information. They're looking for Black Widow. She says, "Oh, everybody knows Black Widow's dead. You know Black Widow's dead. I know I've seen the body," is what she said. "Yeah, I know Black Widow's dead." And they said, "Well, we just want to figure it out." And so she's like, "Well, you can go check out I'll go check out some of the Hydra higher ups and see what's going on with that." And as she leaves, she makes her way across the bridge, and her car explodes. And of course, so then they're talking about how guilty they feel about it, and how they just talked to her and then she blew up, and how there must be something to it, and how Black Widow might have been the person who assassinated her. And then of course they see in the crowd, they see what looks like to be Black Widow standing over here in the crowd. And of course, so Bucky immediately they both take off running after her, and they basically chase her down. Of course, they say, well, that's not really her. There was one moment where, Bucky's like, well, that's not really, it doesn't look right. That's not really her style. And it's funny because Bucky won't agree with Hawkeye when he's talking. He'll be more serious, but in his head sometimes he's agreeing with him. But he won't agree with him, up front. Because he just kind of, and he decides, down the road, he just doesn't respect, in this comic, he just doesn't respect Hawkeye. So they're going through, they're chasing her, and they're kind of, both trying to catch her, and they're kind of dialoguing along the way. There's a lot of action. She finally gets away, of course, and then, so then they go back to this compound where it was one of the guys that Clint had in the first issue had bumped into, and they told him, well, hey, he didn't even. Most of the guys, they run underground. When something like that happens, they go underground. That's what that lady was saying. Skids was saying. And when they go underground, you can tell they're going underground. It's hard to find them once they're completely underground. But these guys, they didn't go underground. Instead, they beefed up their security, made it even more. So they're outside of that guy's, those people's houses, and they confirm that there's definitely a lot more security than you would have expected. Of course, it doesn't stop them, So they go in, and they see. They take out this. Well, they see a Black Widow taking out a couple guards on the top of the house. And so, anyways, they go up. They see her attacking. They say, "Okay, we're gonna go in." They go in. They're trying to stay quiet, but unfortunately, right away, they light a car on fire, and a bunch of shots rang out in defense of him. And then, he has to bust through and knock him out. But of course, now it's been nice and loud, and everybody knows they're coming. So they get around the corner. They get in. They're going through. They get into the house, and they go into this bedroom. And in the bedroom, there's this skeevy guy who's sitting on the bed next to a girl. And the funniest part is he doesn't even know what's going on. He goes to try to pull a gun, and he doesn't know what's going on, and just Winter Soldier don't even acknowledge, and just dunk right on his head, knocks his ass out. And then of course they keep chasing her, and at this point you can clearly see that it's definitely a Black Widow. I mean, she got the same gear on, everything. And while she's running away from Winter Soldier, Clint comes from the side and knocks her over. And you find out that it is a Black Widow, but it's not the Black Widow they think it is. It's I hope I say it right. It's Yelena. It's not the same one, and that's where we come to the end of it. To be continued. You find out it's not Natasha. It's Yelena Belova, who's the other Black Widow. So as far as how this goes, I feel like. As far as a rating, I would give it, a 7 out of 10. It's only one step above the last one, mainly for all the same issues, man. The writing's a lot better, and that's why I give it an increase. The art is okay, but there's some detailed parts and there's some not detailed parts. So it's good, but really, a 7 out of 10 is really as high as I could go. I really don't like the cover either. But the writing from Winter Soldier's point of view was great. So as far as would I recommend reading it, it's definitely starting to hook me a little more. So I got one more to go. If they can't hook me by then, I won't even bother doing the rest of them. But we'll see. So check out the next review, and thank you for joining us at 616 Comic Reviews, and we'll see you next time.